Hey guys, Eric here. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Before we tune in to the details today, I have one little favor I'd like to ask you. Are you listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? If you are, and if you haven't done it already, it would be so helpful to Anita and I if you could leave a 5-star review. It could just be putting 5 stars or even writing down something that you really enjoyed and learned from the episodes that you've heard so far. This kind of help would really improve our ability to give you better content and also to help other people find out about Taiwanica. So if you wouldn't mind taking just a few moments to do that if you haven't already, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we really hope you enjoyed today's episode.
So as a life coach, I think Eric can agree with me on this one. Like, everything will start from the emotions. So that's why we both agreed on season 2, we started talking about emotions first. One thing if you can, take away from today's episode is you have to always identify your emotions in the detail level.
This is episode 60, talking about emotions. Welcome everyone to Taiwanica Podcast. My name is Eric and I want to personally welcome you to season 2. It is a special change that we are going to introduce today that is going to be all about how we feel emotions, express emotions, and even control emotions. And to elaborate further, I have Anita here with me today to really give us a deep dive understanding of what we're going to start doing here on this podcast. Hey, Anita, how's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling happy.
That's great. I'm glad that you are happy.
I am happy and excited.
The thing that we're doing today is to explain things like happy and excitement.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. So for season 2, we mentioned about that episode 59. New season 2, we will be talking about emotions. I think personally, everybody knows that Eric and I, we have really profound cultural backgrounds, right? The cultural that we encounter are very conflict with each other, I would say, like Western culture and Eastern cultural mindset. We personally have transformative stories, which we will share at the very end of this episode. But the point is, we understand how difficult it is when you feel something or you have certain emotions and no way out. That's pretty scary. And based on my understanding of most Taiwanese people, when we encounter some emotions, especially negative ones, we will be like, oh, everybody been through a breakup, everybody been through the same thing, got fired or anything like that. It's okay, they just get drunk or talk about that or complaining about that and we'll forget about this. But I think the season 2, the point is for us to provide some useful and just transformative method to help you to not only cope with your emotions and also understand deeper about your emotion. I think that's the point here for the season 2.
Absolutely, because one of the big things that in every country around the world is mainly most people do not know how to feel their emotions. And surprisingly enough, there are many emotions that we feel on a daily basis. And a lot of them are basically like a recording of the past. Something that may have happened to you last week or maybe even 5 years ago that's still lingering inside of you and you're not really sure why you're feeling this emotion. Maybe some of you, for example, are having the best day of your life and everything is going great. It's a beautiful day, you're going outside, you had the best breakfast, and you're going to work and you just feel a great mood. But as soon as you enter your work, all of a sudden you feel this really sad or frustrating emotion for no apparent reason. You're still having the great day of your life, all of a sudden you feel angry or mad or even sad. And there is a reason for this. And we want to help you understand that it really isn't you or that moment that you're in. Instead, it's the emotions that are hiding inside your body that were not fully expressed. And we're going to help you understand not only how to recognize those emotions, but what you can do when they happen. And so that's kind of the idea with here. Now, to get more specific, Anita kind of already touched on this, but one of the things that we really want to do is give you cultural perspective. Taiwanica is all about culture, right? And not only about culture, but what is the difference between Taiwan and the USA? So Anita just mentioned some things about how Taiwanese people interact during an emotional negative approach. Oh, let's get drunk. Oh, let's just forget about this moment. In the United States, we will also do similar things that in each emotion that we express in the next upcoming season will be able to clarify that, the United States and Taiwan actually have a lot in common, but there's also some differences in the way that we cope or try to encounter these emotions. So if you are someone who is interested in the differences between the two, this will be a great way for you to make foreign friends in either country, because you'll understand how the general population encounters these kind of emotions. So that's one other thing that we're going to talk about in this season.
That's right. I think the very first, just give you a quick preview about in the future what is the episode going to be. So we will be talking about one emotion. For example, the first episode after this one, we will be talking about the issue everybody experience when you get angry, right? Like somebody cut in front of you or any kind of experience happen. Every moment when you're experiencing this anger feeling, like if you're angry, how are you going to cope with that? So each episode we'll be talking about one emotion, and we will be the person who share the method, how to cope with it, and our personal experiences. And of course, we will also introduce you or recommend you some book as also a good tool for you to deal with your emotions. We will be introduce the book in Chinese and English version.
That's right. And all the books that we will be recommending are things that we've either read or have seen to be very valuable for other people. And so all the links that we will be providing will be affiliate links for Taiwanica Podcast, and they will be on Amazon, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to purchase it there. We're just giving you a reference for your education in these emotions, but if you prefer to purchase it somewhere else, that is absolutely okay.
Yeah. I will be introduce some really good website that I used when I was in Taiwan to either purchase Chinese book or English book. So there will be a lot of valuable information sharing of our season 2.
That's right. And on top of that, the final thing that we will be adding to each episode is we at Taiwanica enjoy the information that we love sharing with you, but also want to make sure that you are enjoying listening to it. So the personal examples that we'll be giving will be as entertaining as we possibly can to make sure that a Taiwanica vibe still stays informational, but also entertaining.
That's true.
And so with the example that we will be sharing in a minute here, the last thing I want to just mention is how do we plan on doing Taiwanica Podcast with helping you with your emotions? So all the information that we are going to be sharing is things that you can definitely do on your own. But if you do need help, we definitely recommend talking to about this information with a psychiatrist or a counselor, or you can even come to Taiwanica Podcast and have times booked with either Anita and I, and we can further evaluate your situation and help you explore other ideas of how you can express your emotions in a more healthy way.
That's true. So I think the last part we will like to introduce our backgrounds and why we were doing this. Because we keep on mentioning about not just because of our language ability, also our cultural background, and it's the new things that we are doing called life coaching. We kind of mentioned about it from time to time in season 1, but I think now it's the time to give people a whole story, like the complete story, like what is life coaching about and how can we help them.
Sounds great. So how about you start?
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much for letting me start doing this thing.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So me personally, I love relationship coach. So relationship coach is like, friendship, family, any kind of relationships. That's give you the whole picture, like what is life coaching about. A lot of people have questions like, what is the difference between psychiatrist, therapist, and life coach? Okay, so psychiatrist, simply put, is the doctor you go see to talk about your mental issue, your worries, anything that happened in your life, it has difficulty in your life, you go talk to them. And they will use medical, like Western medical, to use that as assistant. They help you cope with your depression, for example.
such as pills or
Yeah.
medicine or even ways of sleeping differently, stuff like this.
Yes. And the therapist, they don't use any kind of medicine form. You just go talk to them. They will guide you to a direction. But either therapist or psychiatrist will tell you a clear structure how to deal with your problem or to show you what kind of future you can get to.
Another thing about therapy is that they will only focus on the pain or negative point that you are experiencing. With this, you're only capable of understanding what is causing you this issue, and then you're leaving it in the hands of somebody else to try to solve it for you. That is what psychiatrists and therapists are for. They're basically an assistant to help you solve the issue without you needing to really do anything on a mental level.
So those two ways, they are wonderful way of helping people get through their difficult time of their life. So think about life coach is usually you have one issue. That's why we have different fields, different specialties that we are working on. So like I mentioned, I'm love and relationship coach. So when my clients come to me, they usually will give me a reason why they come to me. For example, the most common clients I got is I just recently broke up with a girlfriend. We've been together for like 7-10 years. I just don't know why we broke up. I've been through this heartbreak. I don't know why. So they usually have this like a tipping point, something happened and in their life. And they're so overwhelmed, they need to talk to somebody. And for example, if the client come talk to me, and I will guide them to not only see the problem, but also see, this is my specialty. Maybe Eric is doing different kind of method. My way is to talk to them, help them see the problem, and also make the connection between their emotions and their past history, memories, or experience. Those things are always connect together. One thing happened in your life never just because of that one incident or accident happened. Everything happened for a reason. So that's my job, is to help my client to see those connections. Because for me, when we have problems, the point is to not only get over it, also to do better next time. We can not only just have one relationship over our entire life, right? So help them to face their issue, help them to see those different possibilities and what can they change to be better is my specialty. And the way of life coaching is we will provide more structural method to help you get through either your emotion block or limiting belief, how you forgiving somebody did something bad to you in the past, which is already having you not having a good relationship, these kind of things. So in another word, in conclusion, life coach will provide you a more structural way, which the season 2 will be part of it, which will talk about emotions and helping you how to deal with it, the breathing techniques, a lot of ways that we can provide it. I think the final thing I would like to add on to my profession is I like neuroscience. So I learned a lot of little tricks about your brains. What can you do? What can you say? And what kind of exercise you need to do in order to get through certain difficulties. And yeah, that's my specialty. And now it's Eric's turn to introduce his specialty.
We'll be right back.
I really like journaling, but I always end up with no time or cannot find a journal that I really like. So I was like, hey, let me create one. So here it is, a self-help journal created and designed by Anita. Inside the book, I provide very simple and easy to follow template. For example, in the morning, to-do list. In the evening, gratitude practice. So you can use a very little time to start this healthy habit. Go ahead and check it out in our description down below or go to our buymeacoffee.com.
Great. Thanks for the transition, Anita. So for me, I am a relationships coach, but I mainly focus on goals when it comes to improving your relationships. It's about trying to create a structural path on what is the current problem, recognizing it together, And afterwards, we guide each other in the conversation towards what would be the most ideal solution to whatever issue you're having with whomever this person is. Okay, that's one thing that I'm really good at. And the other is spiritual coaching. I believe on a personal level that everything that we do on a daily basis first starts on a spiritual base. And so if we are capable of having positive energy or positive vibes, or however you want to call them, and finding more ways of connecting to those on a daily basis by eliminating the negative energies or negative vibes, then we are capable of pushing towards our life's goals even faster. And I have a very strong belief that emotions are the way to make that happen. One of my favorite authors, Bob Proctor, once said, emotions are energy in motion. And so I am a true believer of that. And I try to help my clients understand how they're capable of doing that on a daily basis and an hourly basis, whether it's checking in with your emotional state, or like Anita mentioned, doing breathing techniques, or even writing something down, or just sitting down with your eyes closed for a few moments. All of these little techniques are things that I will share with my clients and will elaborate more in these future episodes so that you can also integrate this into your life. On top of all of that, I also introduce ways of just daily lifestyle. So how many hours you should sleep, how much food you should eat, and also focusing on the little things that you do in your interactions of every day. In other words, I try to make sure that you live a conscious life rather than an unconscious life. And this comes with practice, and the way that my clients usually approach this is that, generally speaking, they have had an issue when they come up to me in any part of their life, whether it's career, finance, relationships, and so on. And it's been bothering them so long that they just don't know what to do because they've tried everything that they know how to do. And this is kind of the biggest thing that life coaches encounter, is they have these issues, and they've talked to everyone around them, when they find out, oh gosh, everyone around me has the same issue, or they don't have a solution to the problem that I have. So what my goal is to try to help them look outside that perspective, see what they can do that is different, maybe even scary from their original lifestyle, and try something different. Because new things create new opportunities, and new actions will create a new personality. And so we will dive more into these more complicated matters in other episodes, but that's generally how I approach life coaching. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated.
I think it's very easy to comprehend what you just said. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So as a life coach, I think Eric can agree with me on this one. Like, everything will start from the emotions. So that's why we both agreed on season 2, we started talking about emotions first. One thing, if you can, take away from today's episode, is you have to always identify your emotions in the detail level. For example, and a lot of people just say, 我就不爽. Like, this sentence actually has deeper meaning to it. What kind of emotion you're actually experiencing? I think they also have a really interesting concept when I was doing my sales transformation journey, is to use the vocabulary as much as you can to identify your emotions. This is like so useful. When you hear what I said, you probably feel very confused, right? They were just like angry. I feel tired, I feel frustrated, I feel sad. But when you look deeper, actually you feel a different kind of emotions. Most of the time we just feel like we are angry. But if you look deeper, you might feel humiliated. You might feel ashamed. You might feel hurt. So you could feel many emotions at once, but they were just disguised with the easiest emotion, which is angry, right? We get angry so often throughout the whole time. Every day you probably get angry like 5-10 times. But once you can identify those things, you're on the right path. You're started to decode or like reveal what's really deep inside of who you are. So that's why I think that's the reason why we decided on telling you all different kinds of emotions.
Absolutely. And to add on to what Anita just said, is emotions come in many different styles and they are covered up, but they have a relationship So when you feel angry, you might feel, like Anita said, another layer of anger, such as humiliation or shame or any of these things that are revolving around that said emotion. So to make sure that you understand these emotions clearly, we are planning on creating what we will call the Taiwanica emotional wheel. And this will be a PDF that is not ready now, but will be ready in the future, something for you to look forward to, of just a clear picture of how each emotion is related to one another. So to give you an example of what that will kind of look like, red should be pretty much defining the color of anger. And so anything that is in light red, like, oh, I'm annoyed, this would be representing a small amount of anger. On the other hand, I am furious or enraged. This will be represented in a dark red. So you have an idea about how much anger are you feeling. So on a percent scale, you can range, oh, okay, so I'm not actually really pissed if I'm annoyed, or I'm not really angry if I'm annoyed. Sorry, pissed is probably a more anger than angry.
We're just about to say.
But if I'm furious, then you definitely can tell that something is happening in your life that's causing you to feel deep amount of anger. Recognizing it is the first step to being able to releasing it. Okay, so that's why this color wheel will become very important part of your life when it is complete, and we will let you know when it is.
Yes, I'm working on it. I'm the one who's supposed to do the design.
Just look forward to it. Anita's design is incredible.
Thank you. I'll try my best.
So to dive into that, this will be the last part of this episode where we will both be sharing a little bit of a story about an emotion that we have experienced in the past that used to run our lives. It used to be the captain of our ships, if you want to say. And we were directed in this emotional path all the time because we didn't recognize our own emotions. Okay, and I'll go first this time since Anita went first last. So for me personally, when I was a kid, all the way up until I was in my late 20s, anger was my emotion. Whenever I would get up or go to school or go to swimming lessons or hang out with friends, the easiest thing for me to be in was anger. And it was because I was constantly looking for things to be angry about. And the reason for that wasn't because I wanted to be angry. It was like, oh, let's be angry today. Yeah. No, it wasn't like that. It was because I was just so emotionally used to being angry. Like my body was completely adapted to anger and only anger. There was times of sadness, there was times of happiness, but generally on a day-to-day basis, if I wasn't paying attention or if I was being unconscious, I would be angry at something. So some examples of that would be my mom saying, Eric, do the laundry. You do the laundry. Or Eric, do the dishes. You do the dishes. Eric, come down to eat. I don't want to eat. Stuff like this. And so these kind of things kind of went from being a childhood thing all the way to a work thing. So where my boss would be like, Eric, go clean the refrigerator. But like, I don't want to do that. And that's not a good thing to say to your boss. So let's just say that. And so this kind of habit became not only a feeling that I had, but became the actions that I did too. And then this is the biggest thing that I needed to change, because if I kept on going down this path and letting this emotion control my ship, then I was going to go crash into a big rock at some point. And I did actually. I did run into a big rock at some point, and that was me getting in a motorcycle accident. And that was because of me being run by emotions. And we'll talk more about that when we get to that point. But that's just a clear example of how I was run by that. And now I don't get angry very easily now, and I even wrote a book about anger called The Angry Teapot. If you're interested in that, you can check that out. But the idea is you have to become above that emotion. And it's not about controlling it, it's about being aware of it. And when you do that, your life completely changes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. That's very brave of you, sharing the dark side of the young Eric, rebellious.
Very
angry.
Yes, very angry. Oh my gosh. Just thinking about it before makes me feel like, oh, poor family.
I know, right? Your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, she dealt with a lot, but she's a lover. So thanks, Mom.
Yes. And for me, my story is more complicated than that. I felt a lot of things when I was young, and my way to deal with it is to shut down. So I felt a lot of emotions, and mainly because of my background. Like my relationship with my mom is, I would say it's better now, but was really bad. Okay. So when I was young, I felt a lot of things. Anger, sad. When I was a little girl, I experienced a lot of sad things. I feel sorrow most of the time for a lot of things. And when I become adult, I become super, very, very, very rebellious. I did a lot of things. I was trying to represent who I was. At that moment, I thought that was who I am. I wanted to be this kind of person because I don't want to be the girl that my mom wanted me to be. So I had to deal with a lot of emotions. But when I come to the realization is deep down, I was hurt very badly when I was a kid. Okay, so what happened to me when I was a kid, I will also share the story in the future episodes. But basically, is my sadness was disguised in many different forms. Just like Eric mentioned about that. Sometimes our emotion will be many different ways to come out. Sometimes you don't know why. From the surface level, you don't see any connection whatsoever, but you just experience that. I was like, most of the people are just trying to, let time do its own thing. Like people say time fixes everything. Go out, partying, drinking, do all the things that I thought was represent freedom. That's what I did. It's always my go-to solution whenever I feel any emotions that I don't want to feel. I will go out, feels like I am living on top of the world. Nothing can bother me. So that was my way of dealing with my emotions when I was young. But yeah, that's what I say. I'm a huge fan of identifying, analyzing your emotions. Because when you start looking at those things, you will see a clear map. It literally is like a map, like your Google Maps, from A place to B to C. You will see your life as a map, clear map. How'd you got here? Like who you are right now. It's all about what you've experienced past. So I had to let go and forgive a lot of negative emotions, hurtful things that I heard from certain people or a very painful experience from my past. I had to look at those things deeply and to forgive and to tell myself a better version of story and to help myself to embrace new things. So recently I just realized one thing. I wasn't a huge fan of physical touch. I just a lot of couples were holding hands, kissing, being playful in public or at home or whatever. I'm never a huge fan of it. I just don't like people touching me. Even my shoulder, even my good friend touching my shoulder makes me feel super uncomfortable. And I've always feel like they were just who I am. We're so caught up most of the time. It's like, this is just who I am. I just don't like it. Until I think it was last week, I had this huge realization on my personal practice. It's all come from when I was a kid. I have a very limited time with my mom, and every morning I will want her to tie my hair before I go to school. And my mom always gave me the negative emotion, says, oh, she was tired. Why am I always bothering her doing these kind of things? And eventually he forced me to cut off my hair. She literally use the scissors to cut my hair. And that's when I realized I made the connections like, oh my God. So from that moment on, when my mom used the scissors to cut off all my long hair, that's the moment I feel like I need to be strong. I need to be not needing anybody else to give me the physical touch form of love. So that moment I've decided, even when I was, really young, like elementary school, that's what I learned from the things that happened to my past. Until now, and when I'm realizing it, it was just, that makes so much sense why I usually say I don't care about my hair. These are the things. I only go to salon once a year. I just keep on telling myself, I don't care about my hair. Yeah, my hair is. People say, your hair is pretty. Your hair is so beautiful. So yeah, whatever. Hair is just hair. I'll do so many things to damage my hair when I was young. Now that all makes sense, I wanted to prove to everyone to say, I don't need your love. I can't do this. And when everybody touch me, that makes me have the connection and say, oh my God, this is love. No, I cannot rely on this. touching feeling, even though it feels good. So in that moment, I realized this incredible life story of myself. So again, a huge fan to help you to realize your your current emotion and your past experience. So I guess that's the part of my story I would like to share for today.
Definitely impactful.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and a fantastic example of what is possible for anybody who decides to understand their emotions and try to recreate their life, because you do not have to stay the person who you are if that person is not the ideal version of yourself. And if you believe that you're capable of being someone better, then this is definitely a great way for you to start working on self-improvement. So we really hope that you enjoyed all of the fantastic examples that were provided here today. And we're looking forward to having you listen to all the other episodes that we make.
Yes, we are very excited. We're putting a lot of effort. We're trying our best to give you the best help and the best solution. I think that's our mission here. Stay happy, everybody. No matter you are Taiwanese, American, or whatever country you're from, we're here to help you.
Exactly. That's what Taiwanica is all about.
Yeah.
So enjoy these episodes. We'll be enjoying to hear your feedback. If you do want us to focus on any specific emotion, first, feel free to reach out to us on Taiwanica Podcast's Instagram, Taiwanica Podcast.
That's right.
And you can just request, and we'll make sure to put it into our list to make sure that they are touched on as soon as we can.
Yeah. And final things I mentioned about this before, I'm just going to say one more time. Your message will be safe with us because we don't have anybody else to take care of the social media. It's just me. So if you leave the message on Taiwanica Podcast Instagram, there will be me answering your questions. So if you have some worries, you're afraid people will, you don't trust other people, I will be the one. You don't have to worry about that. I will be the one who's reading your message and give you your feedback.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's very reliable. And
I'm very reliable. Just look at my face. Come on.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if that's a reliable face. That's a little bit creepy. Another feeling that we'll share at another time. But for today, that's going to be it. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Definitely give it a like and share it with your friends and let everyone know that Taiwanica's here to get really down and dirty with emotions.
That's right. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but it's going to be ended perfect.
Absolutely. Okay. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwanica. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.